Not sure? This is called an emperor penguin. Have you heard of him? He's the biggest kind of penguin.
Oh, I'm pretty sure they were doing a penguin walk in Calgary.
That's right. They have king penguins. They're very similar.
Oh.
Why don't you come over here and stand beside this guy? Come on over. So you can see that he's almost as tall as you are. Pretty crazy, hey? Yep. So he's about the size of a 6-year-old. Whereas this penguin...
I'm 8.
There's this penguin. Do you know what kind of penguin this is?
No.
What color is he?
Blue.
Blue. So it's the blue penguin. They live in Australia, which is pretty cool. And then this is the African penguin. So this is what you'll be meeting in just a couple minutes.
The Zach penguin.
That's right.
The donkey penguin.
Yeah, so you know that they got their nickname, right? For the way that they sound?
Yeah.
Why don't you push the button in the wing there? It's pretty cool, hey? Yeah, so that is actually a recording of Scadu. So that's what Scadu sounds like. So when he comes up here, he might do it for you in person. But we also... Hi. Hi. It's like, no, it's not going to say hi. I did play them the stuffed penguin. Well, that is a recording of Scadu, so that's exactly what it sounds like. Hi. Hello. No.
Okay, so I'll do
That was
my
quick.
questions now.
Sure. Do you want to go stand up?
First one is,
All right, go ahead.
can you keep a penguin as a pet?
I would say no. And the reason for that is because penguins live in groups of tens or even hundreds of individuals. So you can't have just one. You have to have like a dozen. And they poop once every 10 minutes. So if you get 10 penguins that each poop every 10 minutes, that's a lot of poop. That smells pretty bad.
So is kind of related to this.
Okay.
What is the name for a group of penguins?
The name for a group of penguins is a colony.
Okay. And do you know why they are called that?
Why they're called a colony? I'm not entirely sure why they're called a colony. I guess it's like, when settlers came over, here they would live in colonies. So it's kind of like a small group of penguins that all live in the same place.
Okay. Do penguins have tongues?
They do have tongues. Let me see. Oh, here. We actually have a picture of what a penguin tongue looks like. So they have a spiky tongue. They use that spiky tongue to help them to eat their fish.
Okay. Do penguins have knees?
They do have knees. So Scadu's knees, I'll show you on him. Good boy. So Scadu's knees are up here inside his body. They're right about here.
Oh.
So he does have knees, however, he doesn't have the ability to bend them. He can't bend his knees. Good boy.
Do penguins have ears?
They do have ears. So he can hear really well. He can hear pretty much what we hear. So everything that's going on right now, he can hear. His ears are right about here, but they're all underneath his feathers. So he's got little holes that are completely covered with feathers. So we can't see them, but he does have them.
What are the names for male and female penguins?
They don't really have separate names. They're just called penguins. Male, and we just use the terms male and female. The reason why they don't have separate names is because male and female penguins look pretty much exactly the same. There's actually no way to tell from looking at them. There's no way to tell them apart.
Are penguins birds?
They are birds. So penguins are birds, even though they spend a lot of time in the water. They can't fly, but that's because their wings are specially adapted to help them to swim. So in zoos and aquariums, they can live to be about 30. In the wild, they'll only live to be about 15 or 20. There's a couple of reasons for that. One is because in the wild they have predators to deal with that might like to try to eat them. And they also don't have access to a vet if they get sick or injured.
How do penguins keep cool and warm?
How do they keep cool and warm? So staying warm is pretty easy. They have a thick layer of feathers all over their body. And those feathers help them to stay warm when they're in the water. It's like a rain jacket. It's like a winter coat covered in a rain jacket. So it keeps them nice and warm. It's also waterproof. So that's how they stay warm. Now to cool off, they have a couple of ways to do that. The water they swim in is pretty chilly. So if they get too hot, they can just go in the water and that'll help them to cool down. You also might notice that Skadu has a little bit of pink above his eyes. And that pink right up here above his eyes is a patch of bare skin. And what's going to happen is if he gets too hot, a whole bunch of blood is going to go up into that area. It gets bright, bright red, and that's how he's going to release some of his body heat, and that helps him to cool down.
Oh, okay, so, how do penguins breathe underwater for so long?
They actually can't breathe underwater. So they breathe air just like we do. So when he goes for a swim in the water, he has to hold his breath. And he can hold his breath for a really long time. He can hold his breath for up to 20 minutes if he needs to. But they do have to come to the surface every few minutes in order to breathe.
How do you tell the difference between male and female?
Well, there's no way to tell from looking at them the difference between boys and girls. There are only two ways to tell the difference. You can either take some of their blood and test their DNA to see if they're boys or girls. The only other way to tell is to wait until they're 4 years old. And when they're 4, girls will typically start laying eggs. So they will either lay eggs and they're a girl, or they won't lay eggs and they're a boy.
How tall is the tallest penguin?
That's a good question. So over here, we actually have a cardboard cutout. So this is the tallest species of penguin in the world. It's called an emperor penguin. So this is how tall the tallest penguin is. It's about 4 feet.
It's as tall as a 60-year-old.
It is, you're right.
It's almost as tall as me,
Almost.
even though I'm 8.
Good boy.
Okay. What sounds do penguins make?
So they make a loud braying sound. I'll try Skadu again. Are you gonna make any noise? Hi. There we go. That was a short one. So that's a little bit of what penguins sound like. Their bray can be a lot longer than that.
Is there any other types of sounds that different penguins make?
Well, all penguins make sort of the same noises, that braying sound. There are a couple of other sounds that they make when they're looking for their mate. They can't find their mate, they'll make a little honking sound. That helps them to find their mate. And babies make almost like a chirping sound, and that when they're hungry. And so the mom and the dad are going to come and feed them.
Oh, why do penguins waddle?
Why do they waddle? That's a good question. The reason they waddle is because their knees are up inside their bodies, right? And they can't bend their knees. So it'd be like if you tried to walk around without bending your knees and you would waddle a little bit. Same for penguins. Now they don't have to bend their knees because they spend so much time in the water, and they don't need to bend their knees to swim. Good boy.
How fast do penguins swim?
They can swim pretty fast. They can swim up to 20 kilometers an hour. That's pretty fast. That's way faster than people can run.
How long do parent penguins raise their baby?
For about 3 months. So when the baby hatches, it's only about a couple of inches long, and then the parents will sit on it to help it to keep warm, and they'll feed it for 3 months. At 3 months of age, they will kick it out of the nest, and the baby has to go find fish for itself.
Do penguins mate for life?
They do. They typically have the same partners for a long period of time. So the longest mated pair that we have here at the mall are Chaz and Doug. They've been together for 15 years.
How do penguins sleep?
How do they sleep? Good boy. So they each have a little cave or a little territory. That's where they live, that's where they build their nest, and that's where they're going to sleep. So go into this little cave, and they lay down, and they close their eyes and go to sleep just like we do. They don't sleep for hours and hours at a time. They'll sleep for a few minutes, like half an hour maybe, and they'll wake up, check for predators, they'll go back to sleep for a little bit, then wake up again, check for more predators, and then maybe go back to sleep. Good boy.
Do penguins migrate?
Some penguins do migrate. African penguins like Skadu don't. They typically stay in the same area all year. But the emperor penguins, like that big cutout we have over there, they're going to spend their summers in the ocean And then in the winter, they're going to walk all the way right into the center of Antarctica, and that's where they're going to lay their eggs and care for their eggs. It sprayed you a little bit, eh? Good boy.
What do penguin eggs look like?
So they look pretty much exactly like chicken eggs. So if you imagine a chicken egg, but just a little bit bigger, that's what a penguin egg looks like.
Oh.
Good boy.
Okay, Anton. There's no more that I understand.
All right. Okay. Hi. You're just not in a very brave mood today, are you, Scotty? Hi. Hi. Good boy. All right. So some days he brays and brays and brays and brays, and other days like today, he's like, nah, I don't really feel like it.
So now we want to see how penguins make art.
How they make art. All right. I'll just have you have a seat for now. I'm going to explain to you how this is going to work first.
What if he doesn't like me?
Oh, well, he likes everybody. All right.
So now can I pet him?
You can touch him, sure. There you go. Good boy. All right, Mason, you want to smile at me? Good boy. Good boy. Does he feel like what you thought he would feel like?
No.
No? It's pretty soft, isn't he? Good boy.
Well, actually, he does.
Yeah? Good boy. All right, I'm going to give him a fish. He's going to get excited.
Why do penguins get excited about fish? That's the only food they ever have.
Good boy, but he really, really likes it. It's like if you got to eat nothing but cake all the time, right? It's your favorite, or what? We do feed them a couple of different kinds of fish.
What kinds of fish do they have?
Good boy. All right, we'll give him a little break. So I'll have you have a seat. Thank you. Good boy. It's kind of like the broccoli of the ocean, right? It's low in fat, high nutrients and minerals. It's really, really healthy for him. Isn't it? And that's what we feed him the most of. We do also feed them squid as well.
Yuck.
And we're going to feed them smelt and herring. And smelt and herring are both have more fat in them than the capelin, so they're not as healthy as the capelin, but he likes them more. They're very tasty. But he only gets those every now and again. Good boy. All right, so now we'll do Scattew sitting on your lap. So I'll show you what this is going to look like first. So you're just going to be sitting in the chair. When you sit down, you're going to have your knees as flat as possible. There you go. And I'm going to bring Scattew over and put him on one knee. You're going to put one hand on his chest and one hand on his back. And you're going to give him a little pet on the back. I should warn you, he might poop on you. All right?
Oh, no. I
Probably
wish I
not.
brought my snow pants.
Well, there you go. He probably won't.
But you never know.
But you never know. All right. So here you go. One hand on his chest, one hand on his back. There you go. Give him a nice pet.
Mason, you want to smile at me?
Good boy.
Okay, one more. Mason, look at me. Mason. Hey, Mason.
Good boy.
Look at me. There we go. Excellent.
Good boy. It's pretty cute, isn't he?
Yeah.
All
He's
right.
such a good penguin.
I'm gonna put him back on the table. All right. They'll eat every couple of hours, so he'll eat like 4 or 5 fish, and then like 2 or maybe 3 hours later, that'll be completely digested, and then he will eat some more fish. So we feed them. Yeah, we feed them
Oh, Scattew.
3 times a day. Every couple of hours, we feed them.
So Mason was guessing it was either his wings, his beak, or his feet that needed this paint.
Ah, I see. Well,
Okay,
it's
so one of those 3 was right.
I thought it was his beak.
his beak.
Yeah.
Well, his beak is really, really sharp. It's serrated like a knife. And you use that to cut fish into pieces. But that also means that he'd probably break a paintbrush if he tried to hold it. So he uses his feet instead. So how we get them to paint is pretty simple. We just put some paint on this tray.
Oh, do they use paintbrushes?
They don't know.
Oh.
So he just
I
uses...
thought they did.
No.
He's very talented.
It's like finger painting.
Exactly. So in case you're wondering what kind of paint this is called tempera paint. It's the same kind of paint that you find in daycares. So it's not toxic, which obviously is very important for animals. It's also water soluble. So if at any point it ends up on your clothes, not to worry, it will wash out. That also means that your paintings aren't really waterproof. So just try to make sure your paintings don't get wet at any time. And so after Scadu is done painting, he's going to be pretty messy. He's going to have paint all over his feet. But not to worry, because he will wash himself. They give themselves little baths. And when they do that, they jump in the water, they swim around, and they roll over on their backs and they scrub their wings with their belly, or their belly with their wings. It's very cute. Alright, so this is how Scadu paints. And he is a very good painter. He's quite talented. So I just dip his feet, then I put him here, and he just walks across. Good boy. Then if he does a good job, I give him a fish. We do train our penguins the same way we train our sea lions. We use a reward-based system called positive reinforcement. Now what that means is if he does something that we like, or something that we ask, he gets a reward, mostly fish. If he does something that we didn't ask him to do, or something I don't want him to do, nothing happens. I just ignore him. Over time, he learns what behaviors will get him a reward, and what behaviors won't get him anything. It also gives him the freedom to choose to refuse to do what we're asking him to do if he decides that he doesn't want that reward. Good boy. So he knows that if he walks nicely across the canvas, then he gets a fish. Good boy. All right, let's do another one. Good boy. Good boy. Oh, I know, you're so excited. He's hungry this morning.
Can penguins eat the eyes a little?
They do. They eat everything. All the eyes, they eat the bones, the scales, they eat everything. And they digest it all too. All right, what do you think? You like that?
Okay,
Yeah?
so can you wipe that
Scott's.
paint off because I also have one for him to paint.
Sure, absolutely. All right, we'll do that one. Such a talented penguin. Okay? Okay, so make sure there's no more blue on there. All right, blue and red, those good colors.
Yep.
Good boy. Good boy. Yeah. All right, and we'll do a couple more. Good boy.
Do penguins like painting?
They like painting if they know what they're doing. So if I were to take a penguin who's never seen paint ever before and dip his feet in the paint, he'd probably not like that very much. So he doesn't understand what it is. The paint is thick and slimy. So it's like if you were just walking along and all of a sudden you got something slimy all over your feet, that would kind of gross you out a little bit, right? So to get our penguins to enjoy painting, we have to make sure they understand what we're doing. We train them to do it. So in order to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to train this behavior in really small steps. So first thing, we would just get them okay with training the canvas. Once they're okay with that, then we might put something like water on the tray. Something that's not as thick and slimy as paint, something they're exposed to, it's a natural thing for them. And once they're okay with having water on the tray, then we might mix water and paint together so the paint isn't as slimy as the water, full paint.
Oh.
Get them okay with that and gradually work our way up to paint. And then we have to get them to walk across the canvas. Now Scadu here, when he was learning this behavior, he didn't get the fact that he was supposed to walk over the canvas, he was walking around it. So what the trainers started doing is they would dip him in the paint, they'd put him on the canvas, and they would give him a fish while he was standing on the canvas. So he understood that he got a fish for stepping on the canvas. And he's doing pretty good today, but now sometimes what he does is he'll walk through the paint and walk until he's standing on the canvas and then just stands there on the canvas. Time for a fish. Good boy. He's doing pretty good today, though. He's walking all the way across like he's supposed to.
What a good thing.
Good boy.
So do you know what his favorite fish is?
His favorite fish is a herring. It's really big and it's fatty. It's like eating a chocolate bar for
Oh.
us. Yeah, that's his favorite fish. All right, what do you think? Do you like it? Yeah? He's pretty talented, isn't he?
Yeah.
Super talented. Okay.
Can all penguins do that?
If they're trained, if they're shown how to do it, they can. It's pretty easy for them. But yeah, they have to understand what it is that they're doing. If they don't know what they're doing, they might be a little freaked out.
Want to do
Pictures? Yeah.